Golden Kamuy is a spring 2018 anime set in roughly 1910 Hokkaido about the search by a veteran of the Russo-Japanese War and an Ainu girl for a rumored treasure of gold. That's quite a lot of detail to process, so in this video I'll be sharing a summary of what all this means. I'll mostly focus only on information that I think will be very relevant to your watching of Golden Kamuy. I actually haven't read the source material, so I'm going to go based on non-spoiler material about the characters that I've read. In particular, I will first cover the Russo-Japanese War and then cover the status of Hokkaido and the Ainu people in 1910. By the way, basically all the information that I'm going to give and all the images that I use can be found on Wikipedia. At the onset of war in 1904, Japan had already implemented many reforms of the Meiji Restoration, which began in 1868. One major goal was industrialization so Japan could compete on equal standing with countries of Europe. It succeeded and then developed imperial ambitions in its vicinity. For example, in 1894, it fought and won a war against China in an attempt to secure influence over Korea. This desire for a sphere of influence over Korea conflicted with the Russian Empire's similar ambitions in the region. As negotiations failed, war broke out. Japan declared war on the 8th of February 1904 and attacked the Russian fleet at the crucial fortification of Port Arthur, which is in modern-day China, on the same day. This is where a protagonist comes in. Saiichi Sugimoto was in the 1st Division of the Imperial Japanese Army, which really did fight in the Russo-Japanese War. He fought in a particularly fierce battle on 203 Hill, named so because it's 203 meters above sea level. This battle was part of the Siege of Port Arthur. In this battle alone, each side lost thousands of men for over 14,000 total casualties. The idea here is that this main character is really hardened by battle as a very fierce fighter and survivor. That's part of his character description, but hopefully knowing a bit more about his story specifically gives you an idea of how tough this guy really is supposed to be. This is a bit of a plot detail, but it seems to happen very early on that he gets attacked by members of the 7th Division of the Japanese Army, which was founded and stationed in Hokkaido, the setting of the anime. The 7th Division had significant numbers of soldiers from all over Japan, in part because of the government's desire to encourage settlement of the island. This leads me to the discussion of the Ainu people who are native to Hokkaido. Some of this discussion might be relevant to the character Asurpa, an Ainu girl that Saiichi partners with. The Ainu are the indigenous people of Hokkaido. Here, you can see an image of Ainu people in their traditional clothing from both 1904 and 2003. It turns out, by the way, that the word Kamuy is the Ainu term used to refer to divine beings, in contrast to the word Ainu, which refers to people and human. Following the Meiji Restoration, Japan annexed Hokkaido to secure its resources and also potentially as a defensive buffer between the mainland and Russia. This involved investment into infrastructure for transportation and industry on the island. One well-known example of the industry this created is the Sapporo Brewery, founded in 1876 in Sapporo, the capital of Hokkaido. The picture you're looking at is the Sapporo Beer Museum, which was originally built as a factory in 1890. At the time, and for a long time, the policy towards the Ainu people was that of assimilation. Ainu were forced to learn Japanese and take on Japanese names, and traditional customs were suppressed. The takeaway here is that Asurpa is growing up in a period of change and stress, not only for her people, but also probably for herself as well. There are also some interesting aspects of Ainu culture that could come up in the story. Hunting and fishing are important parts of the typical Ainu diet, and animal sacrifice is an example of one of the traditional activities suppressed by the Japanese government. I'm not sure how old Asurpa is, but an Ainu woman would be considered an adult at age 15 or 16, and it would be typical to marry a husband chosen by the parents at that age. Tattoos are also an important and traditional part of Ainu culture, and by these ages, women would often have tattoos complete on the arms and lips. That's actually all the information I have to present. I wanted to keep it really short and just focus on what I thought were the key points. There's, of course, much more to read, not only about the war, but also about the Ainu people that I haven't covered. And if you find it interesting, whether because of this video or because of watching the show, I encourage you to continue reading. Thank you.